and I wrote, I hate my body. And I almost started crying. I started thinking, I don't make love to my wife in the light. I never take my shirt off. I feel less than. So I came home. I made a decision. I was going to completely transform my body. And I didn't know really where to go. Back then, there wasn't a lot of gyms that were, like a 24-hour fitness or, what do we call these chain gyms? And my wife at that time, she's a choreographer. She's a dance instructor. She was choreographing an athlete in the Miss Olympia contest. So here I'm led to this, neighborhood gym with all these buff people. That made it even worse. My gosh. So I was like, oh God, look at me. So I just kind of got into this industry with these fit people. And, many of them get steroids, which I never did. And many of them, I didn't know that at the time, but I was like, how do they look so great? But so I was kind of led down that path and working with natural paths that worked with bodybuilders, which is completely different than working with a natural path that's functional medicine as we know this today. So here I am, 44 years old, and my friends are saying, you need to do a show. You need to do a show. And I didn't really have an interest to do a show, but, I looked, I was very athletic. And they're like, you're getting older, you need to do a show. And I'm traveling all over the US. I'm an entrepreneur coach, at that time, mindset coach, doing seminars, author, speaker. And I thought, why not? I need some accountability. And so I ended up doing 2 shows, but here's what I want you to hear. It was within about 9 months, I did 2 shows. And the 12 weeks before the first show, I was so happy. And I was like, why am I so happy? I understand core values, and I do core value exercises. And I realized it was because it was the only time in my life that nobody's choice affected me. And I didn't realize it till I just started thinking, I can't wait to get up. I can't wait to go to, I can't hardly sleep at night. I'm so excited. And it was because I made health my top priority. I wanted to be in the greatest state spiritually, physically, emotionally, and intellectually. Now, what I was doing was excellent with fitness, but it wasn't with the meal planning. I was like on these harsh keto diets. I was taking $800 a month in supplements. In my mind, I thought supplements were all healthy. I didn't know 92% of them had toxins and chemicals. I didn't know 87% were owned by a pharmaceutical drug company. That's bizarre, disguised as a supplement company. I didn't know that these supplements and these harsh meal plans can just destroy your gallbladder, your liver, affect your kidneys. And then the week before the show is so terrible, the dieting that you go through and then pumping I didn't know any of that. And so I can see that part of my decision of just hiring people that I trusted was not a good decision to make. And so weaving back to your question, help me out. Your other part of the question was?
Yeah, the other part of the question was that I need you to share with me some LD hacks that works.
Hacks. Yes, exactly. So when I started to learn what can be defined as functional medicine, and I just want to say to all of you, there's not one fits all. And this is where you start to tap into your body. Like, although I believe and love vegan, and I'm not 100% vegan, I know my fish source. There are 80 to 120 chemicals in most fish. Like, I'm in Oregon where it rains all the time, but after things changed with what's the fertilizer, Roundup, like the best places to grow produce are actually the desert because they weren't affected. Even the rainforest was affected. So you want to be aware of your sources. And especially when you're talking about animal protein, fish, animal protein. So when I think about what I went through in this 18-month journey, many people have said to me, because I've said I spent about $20,000, And they're like, well, why? Like, why? If Lynn had been on this journey of healing herself and she had all those answers, why did you spend money? Well, I wanted to pump up my immune system and clear my gut. Now, I couldn't think. I'm a person that's extremely focused. And I had brain fog so bad. Like the next day after I had my gut looked like I was 4 months pregnant. And here I had abs, like, six pack, eight pack. And so I started doing colonics. Those of you that are not eliminating and you have digestion issues or bloating, you're in the midst of creating damage to your microbiome. The gut lining. Now, the gut is the center of the body. I think it's ironic that our creator created that. Like, it's just like the engine of the body. And when the gut starts to have complications, immune is right around the corner. So on the low end is celiacs. On the high end is MS. Towards the middle is lupus. A little bit below that is fibromyalgia. And what I can tell you is you can restore your gut. And I mean, I have clients that have been patients that I've worked with that have MS and they've been in remission. They call it remission, but 7-8 years. Seriously? Like, what's that mean? Have they probably healed themselves? You can heal yourself. And so what started like $9,600 of my expenses to heal myself was colonics. And colonics is like a spa enema. It simply eliminates all the waste through water, I'll say, up your back end. And it cleans your liver. It's absolutely incredible. So after I would go to colonics, I would have clarity for a couple of days. So it's like every fourth day I was going to colonics. I also started my journey with 12 weeks of only eating grapefruit. Now, I ended up working with 3 naturopaths. And the third naturopath, I was pretty well with the second naturopath. The first naturopath was pretty boxy. I started off with 12 weeks of only eating grapefruit. I went from 225 pounds, I was maybe 7% body fat, to 170. I was extremely thin, but that was the beginning of healing my gut. Now, where I really want to go eventually is talk to you about prevention, because what that protocol ended up doing for me was healing my gut. And we'll talk about prevention, but it was like, I only ate produce. I did constant colonics. I realized that stress and anxiety and depression affect the gut. And for those of you that are parents, when your child says, "Mommy, my stomach hurts," it really means I don't know how to deal with these emotions. Now, I didn't have depression, but I had anxiety. And I was always on the go. Now, where did I learn that? I had 2 parents that were type A. You show up, you're responsible, you're of your word, you work hard. That's how you get to where you need to be. You self-sacrifice. I didn't even know what meditation was all about. I had tried to practice it. It didn't really work for me because I didn't understand how to create a program around that. In fact, I've got a whole program around that, a complimentary program called Steve's Miracle Morning Ritual. It changed my life. I started realizing that, talked about this earlier, that, we have a guidance. And I just started being led. I mean, every day I'm asking God for the most simplest questions. I'm like, what thought did I have? Who did I say I needed to call back? And I mean, the simplest questions that I ask. And so it's too long to go into this message, but I will tell you, we have a philanthropic movement online called Body Temple Community. And if you go to Facebook, my friends, and you search Body Temple Community, ask for approval, you of course will be approved. And then the file section are so many incredible resources on fasting, detoxing, my miracle morning ritual, my amazing green nutrient smoothie. Now, adding to my restoration, of health, I don't really eat a lot. I mean, I have my last meal about 7 o'clock and then my first meal the next day at 1. But I'm not starving myself because I have this sprout nutrient smoothie that's so easy to make with 5 of the greatest seeds that completely restore your health. Now, those of you that might have diverticulitis, those seeds, you buy them as seeds, but then you grind them into powder and then you refrigerate them. And that's even in the FAO section. We have 15 coaches that are always online answering questions, helping people, because that's what we're about, how to help people take charge of the health, body, and mindset. Kind of a long answer. Sorry about that.
Great. Thank you once again, Steve, for your professional insight on today's show. Now, I understand that you're on a mission to ensure that your clients reclaim their health and power. So what has been the success rate now? The next question is, tell me what particular health issue that you've had to handle for any of your clients, right? That was pretty challenging to address. My audience would like to know, how you address this issue.
So we're talking about clients that have dealt with some serious health complications. So I'm going to tell you that, when I have quite an influential community, I'm talking about people that are way more educated than I am with the science. And I love this community that I belong to because I have experts at my fingertips. And I'm constantly I have a CBD formulator that was in a head-on collision. Now, this is way before she knew anything about CBDs. Very, very influential in the world. A drunk driver hit her. She was in the hospital for a year, never supposed to walk. Just one example. And she healed herself, but CBDs healed her. But that ended up leading into her this is the story of you and I, being guided to create a proprietary CBD through suppositories. It first started with autoimmune, then it went into Lyme disease. And all of a sudden, she's just seeing these formulations. She's searching, can't believe how she's being guided. I'm around those kinds of people. There are people that I've led to her that have had 3 months to live. In fact, it's really my brothers. I mean, I'm going back before I started doing health and wellness, but I knew she was in my path for a reason because I just couldn't help but help people. And when my brother called me and said, I love my boss, my owner of my company, he's got 3 months to live. He just passed away 3 months ago. That's 8 years later, right? So there are all these incredible connections. But with that said, when I started studying, and because I've had this entrepreneur brand for 22 years, and these entrepreneurs have built multi-million dollar businesses. It's really what I know how to do. But it's so beyond that because it's mission, it's purpose, it's them elevating every area of their life, because who you are in one area is who you are in another. And what I'm talking about is mindset. Their health got better because I knew how to help them. Their relationships got better, even some that had compromising marriages. And so when I started to study what these health programs were about, in my heart, I thought they were old models, like a Weight Watchers. It just one fits all. And I thought if content really worked, everybody would be successful. Why doesn't it work? Because people don't know how to change their mindset. And so that's when I started realizing what I had been doing for 22 years of helping people with their mindset. That was when the idea was born. Okay, number one, they need to make a decision. They're ready for change. Are you really ready for change? Many of you that don't know who Joe Dispenza is, YouTube, Joe Dispenza. He has done so many case studies around people that have healed, like thousands of people that healed, and healed with a death sentence. That means they had a certain period of time to live. And he said there were 3 commonalities. They believed in a creator that wanted them